The story begins with a boy named Yutaka Senso, who reflects on the non-humans that have coexisted with humanity for a long time. People refer to them as Genjin, meaning mythical beings. He observes that the current age is celebrated for its diversity, as Genjin are gradually being recognized and integrated into human society. School life is no exception. Keiki High School is known for having the highest population of Genjin among its students. Yutaka, a human, is one of those students. Today is his first day at this new school. After a 2-hour commute, he has finally arrived. His reason for going to a school so far away is so he can avoid his old friends. It's not like they had a big fight or anything. In fact, he enjoyed their company. The truth is, he often feels overly self-conscious about his surroundings. All he wants is to have fun. Yet every time he tries to read the room and act accordingly, his uncertainty grows. He recalls meeting with his teacher, holding a career choice survey in his hands. The teacher advised him to give it more thought, insisting there must be something he truly wanted to do, something he enjoyed. Reflecting on that encounter, he admits to himself that at this point in life, he doesn't really have any real plans or dreams. As he walks down the school corridor, he is reminded that Keiki High is home to many Genjin students. He wonders if some of them might be dealing with struggles similar to his own. Reaching the locker room, he spots a Genjin girl nearby. She seems to be struggling with her locker. She ends up bending the locker door. She takes off her shoes and puts them in her locker. He recognizes her immediately that she is Tsumiki Ogami, a classmate and a Genjin. He recalls that she is a werewolf, known for their unique traits and powerful abilities. He remembers that werewolves transform into wolves or gain superhuman strength during a full moon. He realizes that it must be difficult for her to navigate life in human society, far more challenging than it is for him. He considers how keen her hearing might be and senses that opening the locker has caused her considerable distress. As she struggles with her task, looking exhausted, he decides to approach her. He calls out politely, asking if there is a reason she is bending the locker. At the sound of his voice, Ogami turns to him, her demeanor calm as she wishes him good morning. Recognizing him, she smiles and points out that they are in the same class. He then inquires if she is feeling down about something. She simply shakes her head, assuring him that she is not taking out her frustration on the locker. With a playful tone, she shows him her shoes and explains that her feet are so large that her shoes won't fit inside. She adds that the locker wouldn't close properly and could be unsafe if it swung open. She comments that these are her favorite shoes and she doesn't want to cram them in there. As he watches her with interest, she admirably mentions that she thought bending the door to make space would be a better solution. Upon hearing her reasoning, he considers that she must possess super strength. However, he gently reminds her that the locker is school property and that she shouldn't treat it this way. She nods in understanding, assuring him that she can fix it. She grips the locker door again, using her strength to bend it back. Watching her sweat as she works, he comments that she certainly seems to have it under control. Curious, he asks why she doesn't just place her shoes on top of the lockers. He adds that the teachers would likely understand as she explained her situation. Her face brightens at his suggestion as she responds that it is a good idea. With a cheerful smile, she tries to give him a friendly pat on his shoulder, calling him smart. But she suddenly pauses, explaining that she can actually moderate her strength. She thanks him for the advice, yet as they continue talking, he can't shake off the feeling from her earlier pat. Suddenly, he finds himself blurting out for her to stop. With a nervous expression and a slight sheen of sweat on his brow, he asks if she plans to hit him. She looks back at him, confused by his sudden outburst. But when he sees her bewildered face, he gathers himself and apologizes, admitting that he was rude to her earlier. With a trembling voice and a nervous expression, he explains that he is unusually sensitive to how others perceive him, which is why he reacted the way he did. He emphasizes that it has nothing to do with being scared of her because she's a Genjin. He just wants to make that clear. As he speaks, she moves closer and gently pats his arm again. This time, he feels a surge of anxiety at the gesture, but she reassures him, saying it doesn't bother her and that there are others who feel the same way. With a warm smile, she says she completely understands. She then politely asks him to remind her of his name. He responds, Yutaka Senso. She smiles back, introducing herself as Tsumiki Ogami. With their introductions complete, she waves cutely as she moves away, saying she will see him in the classroom. Watching her go, he realizes she is the first Genjin he has ever spoken to. He notes her keen hearing and super strength, but more importantly, he finds her to be a genuinely friendly person. He thinks about her shoes, which she clearly treasures, and reflects that despite being a werewolf, she is exceptionally popular among her peers. Just then, they both head toward the classroom. As she enters, a group of girls quickly gathers around her, their curiosity piques as they begin to chat excitedly. A girl approaches her with a bright smile, exclaiming how adorable she is. He feels a warm sense of happiness at the compliment directed toward his classmate. Nearby, a boy seated at his desk remarks that he'd like to join the conversation, but another boy quickly points out that beast types have an unfair advantage. Observing the boys casting subtle glances at her, clearly wanting to interact with her, Yutaka realizes just how popular beast types are. He notes that her beauty is so striking, she could have an entire photo gallery dedicated to her. Suddenly, a nervous sweat breaks out on his face as an unsettling thought crosses his mind that she is constantly under the watchful eyes of curious and friendly classmates. Just the idea of enduring that level of attention makes his stomach tighten with anxiety. He considers how difficult it must be for her to live with this every day. It seems exhausting. As these thoughts swirl in his mind, one of the boys walks over to Tsumiki and casually comments on how cute her shoes are. Sitting at her desk, she looks down at them with a playful smile and mentions that the school didn't have her size. Another girl chimes in, noting how large they are and asking just how long they measure. She replies that they are 30 centimeters. Yutaka's mind races, thinking about how bulky her shoes must be. Then suddenly, he catches himself and wonders why he is so fixated on her feet. The other boys stare in surprise at the size of her shoes. With a cheerful smile, she adds that the length includes her toenails. He wonders why she is saying this with such pride, feeling a mix of amusement and confusion. She then stands up, removes her shoes, and shows her nails to everyone. She explains that her nails often tear through her socks. As she is at her desk showing them off, Yutaka's eyes drift to her back, where he notices her tail peeking out from under her dress. He quickly puts a hand over his mouth, stifling a laugh. She turns toward him, noticing his reaction, and with a playful grin says she is aware it looks funny. She even offers to let him take a picture of her feet, but he shakes his head, declining with a smile. Their interaction catches the attention of the others, who watch with confusion, unsure if she is comfortable with his laughter. Breaking the silence, another boy asks if stores even sell shoes in her size. She replies that she orders them online. She turns back to him, asking if he is familiar with an online shop called the Everything Store. She adds that he should check it out because it is really cool. As he takes out his phone and starts searching for the online store, she holds up a belt and mentions that she bought it from the Everything Store. Holding it proudly, she explains that the belt keeps her tail in place. Yutaka, intrigued, asks if keeping her tail restrained like that is safe. She shakes her head and calmly replies that while putting it under pressure isn't ideal, the belt is stretchy, so it doesn't hurt. A girl nearby pipes up, surprised, asking if the school didn't provide skirts designed for beastmen. Ogami confirms with a nod and a charming smile, but adds that she prefers using the belt. She lifts it slightly to show how it fits, and the other students look on in awe. When she asks if it isn't cute, several classmates agree enthusiastically, commenting on how everything about her is adorable. She then turns to him, who is still focused on his phone. With a playful smile, she asks if he wants to try stretching the belt. Caught off guard, he looks up, surprised, and asks what she means. She explains that she noticed him staring earlier and thought he might be curious about how the belt works. He quickly shakes his head, feeling flustered, and assures her he was just impressed by how amazing it was. As he replies to her, he becomes aware that everyone in the room is watching him. He keeps his focus on his phone, noting that while she clearly has a unique sense of fashion, she openly shows her torn socks and doesn't seem overly concerned with how her nature as a werewolf might be perceived. Just then, a girl calls out to Ogami, asking if she turns into a wolf during the full moon. She responds with a simple no, prompting a few disappointed sighs. One of the girls admits she was hoping to see her transformation. She explains that transformations vary from person to person. Another girl, surprised, asks if that is true and wonders aloud if it would be a little frightening if it did happen. As the questions continue, Yutaka silently questions if they are appropriate. Then another girl chimes in with a playful question, asking if she likes human meat. With a sweet smile, she replies that she doesn't eat human meat anymore, though she loves meat, clarifying she is a meat eater. He feels stunned, thinking that phrasing it that way might make people believe it is still possible. As she adds that eating human meat is something from the past, he interjects from the back, noting that if she did eat human meat, she would have been arrested by now. The others exchange glances, agreeing that it is a valid point. She visibly relaxes, relieved that someone helped steer the conversation. Turning to the girl who asked, she asks why she brought up such a question. The girl explains that she'd done some research on werewolves and found a lot of information online, which made her curious. She shows her an article on her phone detailing myths about the full moon and werewolves. Ogami's expression shifts when she sees the image of the full moon, and she lowers her head, suddenly looking troubled. The others exchange confused glances, noticing her change in demeanor and asking if something is wrong. Before anyone can react further, a sudden loud howl bursts from her mouth, startling everyone. The room falls silent as they stare at her wide-eyed. When the howling ends, she sits back down, looking shaken and embarrassed, sweat trickling down her face. Feeling embarrassed, she asks everyone not to stare at her like that, noting that she just howled. One of the girls is surprised and asks if she was really howling. Another girl happily mimics the howl, prompting the boys to exchange glances, realizing they should have recorded it earlier. While they are all focused on her, Yutaka reflects on how her howling has become known, thinking rumors of it will likely spread to the other classes. Just then, some boys from a neighboring class arrive, excitedly announcing that there are several upcoming events. They express interest in creating a class group chat and ask if she will share her contact information. She agrees, but one girl chimes in seriously, reminding them that they aren't even in the same class. A boy turns to Yutaka, telling him he will send him an invite since they are classmates. He thanks him in return. She then politely asks if she can step out to buy food first, happily mentioning that since it is Friday, she wants to grab a cutlet sandwich. The others cheerfully agree, and as she leaves the classroom, more students gather at the door. One boy approaches her and asks if she is Tsumiki Ogami. He introduces himself as Moritaka Senga, a first-year student from the second class, and mentions that he is a vampire. With a friendly smile, he asks if she could share her contact information as well. Yutaka and the other students watch the interaction curiously. Confused, he overhears his classmates explain that Senga is the vampire from the class next door and adds that all the vampire students are genetically beautiful. Upon hearing the exchange, he thinks that it might be difficult for her to reject that vampire guy. However, she calmly tells the vampire boy that she is heading out to buy lunch, so she can't give him her contact information right now. He asks if she can provide it later, adding with a bit of an attitude that it is extremely rare for him to ask someone for their contact details and questioning why she doesn't just grab her phone now. Her mood shifts at his comment. She responds angrily, insisting that there is no need for that and orders him to get out of the way, calling him an abstraction. Her loud rejection brings smiles to the faces of those around her, who are pleased to see her stand her ground. Meanwhile, Yutaka feels a twinge of sympathy for Senga. As she leaves the classroom, he watches her go, and just then, a message pings on his phone. He glances at it and sees it is from his middle school group chat, where the other members are asking if he plans to join them. While the other students begin to file out of the classroom, he types a quick reply, letting them know he will be there if he can, and assures them they will hear from him soon. The group responds enthusiastically, mentioning they have a lot to share and urging him to come. After a brief conversation in the chat, he finishes packing his school bag, thinking it is time to head home. Just as he is about to leave, she reappears at the classroom door. She asks if he is there. As she steps inside and waves at him, he notices that her face and clothes are completely covered in mud. Seeing her muddy appearance, he is taken aback and asks what happened and why she is covered in dirt. She responds calmly, explaining that she was digging a hole, which is why she looks this way. He feels confused but listens as she continues, cheerfully sharing that the cutlet sandwich she had for lunch was so delicious that she decided to bury some to save for later. However, when she went to dig it up, she ended up getting stuck. With an embarrassed smile, she advises him to be careful too. He assures her that he won't have the same problem and then asks if she has a change of clothes. He offers her a jersey he hasn't worn yet, but she simply beams and tells him she plans to go home just like this. Surprised by her nonchalance, he wonders aloud how she could ever be so carefree. Confused, she asks what he means. He hesitates, trying to find the right words, his face slightly flushed. He confesses that he often worries about how people perceive him and constantly wonders how his actions will be interpreted. He admits that these thoughts occupy his mind, leaving him unsure of his own feelings. She listens intently before telling him that it is simple. She suggests he just needs to write about himself, noting that everyone has dreams or aspirations. She encourages him to pursue whatever makes him happy. He nods, feeling a bit more relaxed as he shares that since he has the opportunity to attend a distant school, he hoped to turn over a new leaf. He wishes he could be his true self, but admits he struggles to understand what that even means. He expresses admiration for how she seems to accept who she is and finds that quality amazing. Sitting on the table, she looks at him with a playful smile and asks if he thinks her confidence comes from being a genjin. He blinks in surprise as she explains that genjins are inherently different by nature, making it easier for them to come to terms with their identity. She adds that while humans can adapt, that ability can sometimes make it more challenging to accept themselves. With a calm and cheerful demeanor, she remarks that being human must be difficult. He interjects, stating that genjins have it much harder, and she simply seems to accept her circumstances with ease. She replies that she has always been this way since she was little. He then expresses his hope that since she has come here for a fresh start, they can get to know each other better. She agrees, her face lighting up as she suggests they explore Yutaka's feelings together. He, surprised, politely declines and thanks her for the offer. She playfully observes that it seems like someone has suddenly closed their heart. He assures her that he will manage on his own and thanks her again for her kindness. But she calls him back, insisting that she wants to cherish those who are okay with her, adding that he is already someone important to her, even if he hasn't realized it yet. She points out that he purposefully chose to attend a distant school, implying that it reflects his desire to distance himself from certain people. With a teasing smile, she notes that the fact he doesn't want to meet some people suggests he doesn't like them. He responds, a bit taken aback by her bluntness. She reassures him that even if they don't always see eye to eye, she can accept that easily. She believes there are unique experiences that can only be shared with a genjin. With that, she opens her arms wide and encourages him to give her a chance. Confused, he wonders if she is asking for a handshake. But she urges him to mimic her gesture. Focusing on her, he opens his arms in response, and she exclaims that he is doing it perfectly. Then, without warning, she lunges forward and wraps her arms around him. He is left stunned, not knowing how to react. She lifts him onto her shoulders, declaring that they should get right to it. As she perches on the classroom window, ready to jump, she playfully asks if they can go home together. Completely shocked, he shouts for her not to do this. With a bright smile, she assures him that she is skilled at this sort of thing, encouraging him to think of it as bungee jumping and that it feels exhilarating. As she stands in the window, he anxiously asks about his safety. In a flash, she leaps out of the classroom window, confidently declaring that she is his lifeline. Looking down, he is astonished, but she doesn't let his shock deter her. She does what she wants. When they both land on the ground, she quickly apologizes, explaining that she may have overestimated a human's semicircular canals. He, still in shock, puts a hand to his mouth and assures her that he is okay. With a cheerful demeanor, she asks him what he thinks about leaving school with Genjin. She apologizes again for making him feel queasy. As he begins to regain his composure, he realizes he is sweating profusely. In a calm tone, he reflects on their classroom, which he always thought was spacious. Now, after jumping from it, it seems smaller when he looks up at it. They stand together at the train station, and with a confident expression, he comments that he believes this experience will be something he reminisces about many times. He excitedly adds that he really enjoyed it. Overflowing with happiness, he thanks her for the kind and enjoyable moment they shared. She beams at his praise, but when a train rushes by, she freezes in surprise. Noticing her expression, he checks in with her. She replies simply yes. He apologizes for the train's loud noise and acknowledges that she went out of her way to bring him here. With a cute smile and a happy heart, she leans closer to him and sniffs his cheek. Stunned, he asks if he smells bad. She quickly reassures him that it was just a greeting, a sign that she wants to get along with him. As the train arrives, he moves toward it. She waves goodbye cutely from behind as he boards and departs. Once on the train, his phone suddenly rings again, surprising him. When he checks it, he sees a message from the middle school group again, asking about plans for Sunday. One of the guys in the chat comments that this sudden message is annoying, while another attaches a poll offering the option to leave the group. He glances at the message, then types a quick note to take care of themselves before hastily clicking the yes button to exit the group. Still staring at his phone, another notification rings in fast, catching him off guard. He checks it, assuming it is yet another alert from the online store he visited once before. As he stares at the notification, Yutaka's phone suddenly rings loudly again, catching him off guard. This time, he sees it as a message from Ogami, and a wave of comfort washes over him. On the chat screen, she informs him that she has added him to the group and sends him a cheerful greeting sticker. Remembering her explanation of the significance of greetings, he feels a mix of nervousness and confusion about it all. The other day at school, she approaches the lockers and notices her shoes placed on top. Underneath, she spots a letter. Curiously, she picks it up and reads the name scrawled on it, realizing it is from Yutaka. As she opens the note, she discovers that he begins by thanking her for accompanying him to the station the other day. He mentions that he has something for her to cook or grill, adding that he believes it is something she uses often, but reassures her that there's no obligation to accept his gift. At the end of the letter, he expresses regret if he inconvenienced her and emphasizes that it's just a small gesture to show his appreciation. After reading the entire letter, she smiles, noting how many lines he wrote. She opens her locker to see what he has given her. Satisfied with her discovery, she heads to class, where he is seated at his desk. Approaching him, she reveals his gift, some socks, and asks if he is sure about this. A bit anxious, he reassures her once more that if she doesn't like them, she can simply cook or grill them. As he feels anxious about her acceptance, she reassures him that she will wear the socks. She picks up her chair and sits closer to him, her cute smile brightening her face as she declares that she isn't finished listening to his story yet. He responds simply, stating that he has shared enough, but she playfully asks if he would consider coming to her place. Leaning in happily, she points out that it's not every day someone gets to visit a werewolf's home. While she speaks to him in such a friendly manner, he notices that all the other boys are watching him intently. Stunned, he can't help but think about Tsumiki Ogami, the werewolf who is his first Genjin friend. She calls out to him again, asking if he can come over to her place this Saturday. Noticing his nervous expression, she inquires if he is feeling unwell. With a sheen of sweat on his forehead, he assures her that he's fine but needs to check his schedule. She stands up, agreeing with him, and heads toward the other girls. As he packs his bag from the back of the classroom, he finds himself puzzled about what to do now that he's been invited to her house. Caught up in his thoughts, he begins to wonder how others will react to this invitation. He imagines stepping out of the classroom and climbing the stairs, where a group of boys sits in his path, looking completely bewildered. One of them asks when he and Ogami became so close, while another presses for details about the nature of their relationship. The third chimes in, stating they want to know more as fans of her. He responds simply that they are friends, but thinks to himself that he had no idea she had a fan club. The first boy points out that she hasn't invited anyone else who seems to be a friend of hers, and the second adds sadly that they often talk to her. The third boy notes that this is what's bothering them and asks him to explain the situation carefully. Amidst the chatter, as the teacher surveys the class, Yutaka realizes that Ogami is helping him uncover his feelings, and there's no way he could explain that in a way that makes sense. He starts to think that maybe going to her house isn't such a good idea after all. The people who like her might not appreciate it. As Ogami yawns while sitting next to him, he realizes that she doesn't mind having him over, which is why she suggested it. Suddenly, a thought strikes him if there should be boundaries between friends of the opposite sex. He wonders how that works and concludes that overthinking it only makes things weirder. Just then, she stands up, picks up his lunchbox, and announces that it is lunchtime before heading out of the classroom. As the other boys head toward the lockers to grab their things, he approaches her. Holding her favorite shoes in his hands, she nervously asks him what he thinks about coming over to her place. Noticing the hesitance on his face, she assures him that it is okay if he doesn't want to come. This thought bothers him. He feels like someone's reaction is weighing on him again. She slips on her shoes just as a girl calls out to her from behind, telling her it's time to go. He then asks if he can change his mind about coming over. She readily agrees, but as she moves away, she waves at him and playfully remarks that there is no turning back now, mentioning that they will meet on Saturday. He waves back, feeling a sheen of sweat on his brow as he thinks he needs to leave quickly. Afterward, she heads to the games arena, where various arcade machines are lined up. She helps a little kid play a game, and several other students join her. One girl teases her, suggesting that it sounds like she has a boyfriend. Confused, she responds that he is just a friend. The girl presses on, asking when this friendship began. She explains that she merely invited a friend over. The girl quips that it seems Yutaka treats boys and girls the same way, which she finds a bit excessive. As she continues playing with the kid, the girl warns her to be cautious, mentioning that even if she isn't interested in him, she can't predict what he is thinking. Standing up, she puts on a pair of boxing gloves, activates the punching machine, and confidently states that she isn't worried about it. When the target appears, she delivers a powerful punch, hitting a score of 794, setting a new record. She boasts that Yutaka doesn't stand a chance against her and assures the girl that if he wants a fight, she will gladly take him on. The girl, recording the moment on her phone, starts to understand what Ogami means.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I was in denial.